Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvolt, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chai Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Rain Foster, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin', Henrik86, Jaronism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life Is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Rene, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock App, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins and Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now, I do believe we've got a few people hopefully in the Hangout. Let's have a quick check and see who's actually in there. Actually find them. Where are you? Let's see. One? No, that's not the one. There we go. Is that you, 10th man?
Yeah, I said.
Hello.
I said good morning. You didn't hear me.
No, I was doing the intro. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I've just been researching a couple of things, so I got up earlier.
I see. Good stuff. Right, let's fiddle around a little bit. Hold on a second.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
Can't line these boxes up until someone's actually in the Hangout. There we go. Looking pretty. Have you got stuff to do?
No, I'm just doing some background research on the whole thing with the Black Swan, because if they say, well, what happened was on Discord yesterday, a baller said, okay, so we got the Earth's size wrong and the radius is bigger. We'll just change the model. I'm just saying, you just can't change the model because the picture shows that they've been lying to you without some ramifications, auxiliary effects. Well, so what would happen if you do that? Well, the Earth is bigger. 24-hour day would change. The so-called satellites in space would have to be further out because the Earth got bigger, so you'd bump into. I mean, it just fell apart. And the guy just was so zealous for the globe, they didn't realize by conceding, okay, our model is wrong then based on that picture. Let's talk about the sun now. No, we're not going. No, we're not going to the sun because gravity just increased. The Earth is 67 times bigger. We can't. Oh, buildings are falling down. Get out of here.
Right. Or it is as it presents itself. I mean, the answer to this question is still yet to come, because as far as I'm concerned, this Black Swan is undebunkable by their mathematics. You know, the only thing to change is R. Well, then everything about the Earth being a sphere falls to pieces. So you can't change R. It's been back-engineered from the lights in the sky and matches with it because that's what they've taken to give them their spherical ground value. Now, nothing's curving, and it's claimed that that spherical ground gives you an edge that blocks things in the distance. When that edge is miles off in the distance, it's no longer the same R value. Therefore, a much bigger sphere? Or no, the horizon's just a not actual location. It's not the edge of a sphere. The whole thing falls to pieces with this one photograph. Yeah. It's excellent.
Yeah, and that's what, the way you just said that is key. This would change your R value. So let's talk about what would happen if the R value changed and you got your model wrong. Because that's where they're going next. They're going to say, okay, the picture proves that our R value is more than what we said it was. Oh, good. I'm glad you conceded. Now let's talk about what would happen.
Well, no, you can't. You can't change R. That's the bottom line. It's a fixed value. So as soon as you move that R value, nothing in the sky matches. And yeah, it just doesn't work anymore. It's been back engineered from that. So you can't change R, or they can't change R.
Yeah. The picture changes R because there is no R.
Yeah. While they can add more to the refractive value, the R value stays the same.
Well, that's the thing I'm looking to put together is what. So I typed in what's the title here? Earth's radius auxiliary effects. So pulled up a thing saying if the Earth was twice the radius then of the 3959, what would happen? And they're going through and there are all these crazy things. So what you said was the best because we get our radius from the positions of the luminaries. So they're dead right there.
Right.
It's just amazing the lack of concern or proper response to an event of any type of event. Like if you see two cars crashing and people screaming and blood on the streets, and you just walk by and go get your Starbucks coffee, that's the crowd we're talking to.
But the crowd doesn't appreciate that there's actually, they haven't recognised that it's blood.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. It may take some time. That's okay by me. The people who get it, it's great. You see the penny drop. I'm watching penny drop moments all around me. Or people start repeating it back to me like it's amazing. It's like, yeah. I've been trying to stress the importance of this for a little bit of time now, a couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm glad that you can now parrot it back to me and appreciate just how important this is.
Yeah. But they've desensitized everybody on so many fronts that you can pick up a daily newspaper or watch an evening news and see some horrible things being reported and just go back to normal without any concern. This is how they've got everybody. So it's just amazing how this sensitivity of a human being towards things is so dull right now.
Right. Yeah, understanding the Black Swan means you have to have a good understanding of first the heliocentric model and what is dictated it must do in its geometry, and then an understanding of why it isn't doing that. Well, like I say, cognitively, there's a lot of people out there, demonstratively so, that do not understand the analogy, let alone the actual example.
Pardon me.
You're pardoned.
Would the Black Swan argument also apply to light as a wave? You know, like you can have 1,000 pictures of it as a wave, but if you got one as a particle, it debunks it.
If you want to form a Modus tollens argument for light as a wave, you're welcome to. It's been formulated for this specific horizon example. So if P then Q, not Q, therefore not P.
Yeah, when I finally seen that, that was pretty intense.
Just so it's dedicated to effort, well, my audience's benefit on the second channel. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, that would be P, then the horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That would be Q. Q is the geometric horizon, the physical edge. So not Q, i.e. the horizon distance is greater than 9.41 miles, as in the Black Swan, therefore not P, not an Earth with a radius of 3959 miles. Earth is not a sphere.
No
Yeah,
comment?
that's pretty brutal argument.
Yeah, it's real brutal because we're using their math.
I've stuck it up on screen for the audience's benefit. So the analogy is, if you claim that all swans are white, I only need produce one black swan to debunk the claim that there are only white swans. Now the analogy, when it stacks up with this image being the black swan, the horizon way beyond where it can physically be, a geometric impossibility. You don't need to demonstrate over and over again that it cannot physically be where it says it is if it's physical. You just show that it can't be a physical location once, and then it's no longer a physical location. In fact, the fact that it moves at all debunks the notion of it being a physical edge of a sphere, which it must be at a set rate. So if I stick the actual Modus tollens argument on screen, hopefully I'll frame it nicely enough to be read. I'll read it again. If P, then Q. Not Q, therefore not P. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles P, then any horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Q, geometric horizon, fundy Earth curve edge. Not Q, horizon distance greater than 9.41 miles, as in our example. Therefore not P. Not an Earth sphere with a radius of 3959 miles. Earth is not a sphere. A black swan. Demonstrated here. Not a physical edge. An arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground. Changes with the weather, unlike a physical edge. You can't change the R value with the weather, and you can't refract the horizon above the horizon. They're screwed 6 ways from Sunday.
It's sort of like when a USC fighter gets hit so hard he goes stiff and falls down. It takes him like an hour or two to figure out he got knocked out. I think it's that.
Yeah, this will take a couple of weeks for the Globers to start to recognise. A few of them recognised it instantly and started to obfuscate and double speak around it. But I do mean a few.
He said it was going to take him 9 months.
You might not be wrong.
It took me 3 days. So.
Yeah, it took me about 3 days as well. I'd watched the information on Ben's channel though, so I'd seen him present it. I'd heard it before. I'd even given him a little soundbite to go along with it, but I didn't recognise the importance. Then QE broke it down for me in a way that at first I went, no, this is still a bit squirrely. And he sort of tutted, as he does. And then within a couple of days, the penny dropped. And I was like, oh, my God, this is undebunkable. They can't get around this with the curve calculator. So no longer in a draw. You know, the draw being, I say the lighthouse has come back from beyond the edge because I'm a fundy, and the flat earther says it's just there because we can see it. Well, that's a draw. They can explain it with increased refraction, even though they're not justifying their fundy application of 7/6R. It's still an explanation. Well, admittedly, you know, I think it's a far better argument to say, I just see it, it's there, I've got eyeballs. But it's still, like I say, a draw, because mathematically they can justify it and explain it. Mathematically, with an abstraction of reality, I might add, a model. Nevertheless, this cannot have the same thing applied to it. You can't loom the horizon above the horizon. You know, the geometry is set. They've got an R value, it's fixed. So ultimately speaking, when you have a black swan, a physical reification of a sphere edge off in the distance, way beyond what it's supposed to be obscuring, that's a geometric impossibility and cannot be debunked. The only thing they could possibly do is increase R. Well, then we haven't got a sphere with the radius they said we've got. The physicality of the sphere breaks in terms of how they model it out with the stars, because that's where they've got That's where it came from in the first place. But yeah, that it doesn't work. You can't change R. So they're screwed. They can't win with this other than to deny the horizon exists. One of the few people who appreciates the argument, to at least 90% of the degree required to debunk it, if there was a debunking, is Rumpus. And his only rebuttal was say, no, we can't see the horizon in this picture. Yeah, we can. Just debunks your globe model.
So when you want to confirm an equation from the first result you get by the equation, what steps do mathematicians take to confirm an equation? That's a question.
Well, what would it confirm even if I give you the correct answer? It's irrelevant because it's an abstraction.
Well, my point is to be made after I get from the mathematicians the answer. Here's why. That picture shows the horizon at over 10 miles. We're not sure exactly how much over 10 miles, but we know it's over 9.41 because of the second oil platform, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So at a 1 foot observer height, using their math for the globe, their spherical trigonometry, all their stuff, they're saying that the Earth radius is 3959. Its diameter is 7,918, which half of it would be 3959. Well, if that picture is taken, that black swan proves that the radius is wrong. And according to Ben, a taboo conspiracy, doing a little trigonometry himself, it would be 67 times larger radius for that picture to be valid, to actually even be taken. Well, if you do 67 times more on the radius, you come to 264,000 mile radius, or 528,000 miles diameter, which is just slightly smaller than the sun's diameter of 800 plus thousand miles.
I didn't have that as a comparison. That's cool. But yeah, I mean,
so
it's
we
also
have a
had
problem.
on the image I used as a thumbnail on my explanation for the fundies that once they appreciate this argument, start to deny that the geometry even exists. So they deny their edge of a sphere. But nevertheless, one of their rebuttals is to say, no, he's not at 1 foot, he's at 5 foot. So the mathematics on screen now is for 5 foot. So you've got observer height 5 foot, and then in brackets, actual 1 foot. But then it says distance to geometric horizon equals 2.73 miles. So in other words, if they want to start fudging the figures up, well, it still doesn't solve the problem in their geometry. You've still got a geometric impossibility by some considerable margin, just by seeing the horizon on a nice clear day. It's amazing how simple it is when it gets to their fundy edge, and it all suddenly makes sense why we're charged with a reification they have given us in the form of an azimuthal equidistant projection of a globe, foisted upon us as it's our model. No. But then we're told that it's got a model edge, like the Flat Earth Society presents to people, so they can burn that straw man and burn our edge. Well, why such aggression for an edge we've never claimed? Well, because they've got an edge that's a very severe problem. You're only going to show the horizon in 2 different positions and go, there you go, it's moving. It's not physical edge of a sphere for boats to go over. It's the arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground. The fact that you've reified the edge of a ball into this position where things get too small to see isn't the edge of a sphere. So they've got an edge, and it's being defended by attacking us and giving us an edge and a model, and having boats even fall off our edge. No, boats go over your edge. And it's a big problem when the horizon moves based on the bloody weather, because that's what your geometry is being based on. The physical edge of the sphere that things apparently go over, or buildings are being blocked by, or pilots are seeing from a certain altitude. Well, yeah, that's a horizon that they're claiming is a sphere edge that they see bending. No, we don't have a sphere edge. We have a horizon. A not actual location, not a physical sphere edge. But that's a big problem. So better attack it with vigour and give them, the people that might ever come close to pointing this out, their edge so we can burn that instead. So that's why we have that controlled up narrative with a stupid model with boats going over the edge of a disc. and water spilling over it, and jokes from comedians making a laugh at the fact that we have boats going over the edge of a model they've reified on our behalf to burn.
Yep.
Penny dropped for Auntie a couple of days ago, so he was on the phone with me this morning singing the praises of the Black Swan argument, which is great. Said he'd pop by.
Wonderful.
Said he'd pop by about nowish.
Say that again?
Ranty's going to pop by. I think he's got a demonstration he wants to present.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So hopefully we'll get that from him when and if he does turn up. He's a bit flaky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get all kinds of chuckles here as I'm reading to see if the globies want to say, okay, so we got the size of the Earth wrong, and that picture proves that the measurements were all wrong. So yeah, the globe is much bigger than we thought. So what? Oh, okay. So now everything changes with your 9.8 meters square because gravity would increase. Everything would increase if the mass changes and the core, the supposed core of yours changes, then everything changes. And by the way, you can't do that. Why don't you just give in?
Just a quick rephrasing. Breaks is a much better word. Not changes. Breaks.
Breaks, yeah, much better. The math will be their undoing because they're stuck to it. It's not subjective.
Yeah, 2016, you, as in us, the flat earthers, are being addressed. You don't understand geometry. 2020, we don't have an edge. Yeah, boats aren't going over anything. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Being obscured by what now? No, I never said that. Curving from how much altitude? No, that's not our edge. Spheres don't have an edge. They go on forever. It's not like a cube. Really? Boats have been blocked by what now? Buildings are blocked by what? Are you seeing what from what altitude now? That reified sphere edge that you've got to dance away from now? Yeah, you're not going to.
Well, this reminds me of your conversation with Richard a couple of days ago. Remember?
Yeah, I edited it down. So there was probably 25 minutes of, off-topic discussion. I was talking about psychopaths at one point, and you were talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson lying, and I was correcting you. Well, all of that got trimmed out, and I've trimmed it down to about half an hour of on-topic discussion about, his belief in a sphere, what he bases his belief on, me debunking it based on the lies that we've been told and disproving them. I left a few bits in from you, like you highlighted that who cares about the why. It's like, what are you going to go with, the evidence or your lack of information about their motive? So I left that bit in, and a few other people, gave us this crystal ball prediction. I hacked the shit out of that and left that on the cutting room floor.
Well, what was interesting, and the part that I loved, was first he said there is no edge. Then after you did the basketball example, he agreed there was an edge.
Yeah, they're going to have to dance between having an edge and not having an edge now, because that's what we're disproving, that it's not a physical edge. So when needs be, they're going to have to say, oh, no, the horizon's not a physical edge. Well, it must be. In your model, it's got geometry. Well, yeah, when I need to use something going over the edge of a physical sphere, then it'll be an edge. But for the now, because your example makes perfect sense, I'm going to say it's not an edge. It's like, well, that's not a good enough comeback, my friend. Not being an edge in this example means it's not a sphere. And it can't just be a sphere tomorrow and not today. Earth obviously and observably flat and all, agreed upon by both sides. Other than this reification of a sphere edge that's supposed to be bending, that stuff is flat. So if we don't have a sphere edge, there's nothing to bend to claim it's a sphere. There's nothing for boats to go over to be obscured by the sphere. There's nothing going to be blocked in the distance by the sphere edge, because it isn't a sphere edge. So this is their weakest part of their argument. No wonder they're ridiculing us for our edge we don't have when they gave us a model to burn. Yeah, it's all making perfect sense to me. The Coriolis argument is less pertinent. It seemed really important when we were arguing about it. But to me, there's in this order, Earth curve still comes above the vacuum of space. That's an ancillary lie. because the fundamental Earth curve is the bit that we're arguing about when we talk about the nature of our reality. Their nature, the lie, being a spherical one. Well, we don't have that, and that's debunked by this, because the thing they're utilising is the horizon, and it's not a physical edge of a sphere. It's not physical. It's not an edge. Boats aren't going over it. It's not blocking buildings in the distance. All of that has been mathematically reified based on a geometry based on R, which breaks with one picture that shows it physically cannot be an edge. It's not a physical location. At a deep level, most people appreciate that anyway. The horizon is not an actual location. It changes with the weather, but that literally means that the sphere size is changing with the weather. So it completely debunks the whole deck of cards falls down.
Well said. It's also apparent once they start connecting the dots, and as the penny keeps falling for them, is that all of the documents we've cited before from their side, from NASA to the aerospace companies, they have to convert everything from spherical to plane for it to work. They even say it in their documents, the Earth is a non-rotating flat surface, and this is how these instruments work over a non-rotating Earth. Well, if they only work over a non-rotating Earth, and your doublespeak is to say the Earth is a sphere, but the only way your instruments work is if the Earth isn't a sphere. Is that the reason you put that thing in there that says these work over a non-rotating Earth? And not only that, you've got the Sea Sparrow missile, I believe it's the Block 1, that is over 30 miles, direct line of sight, 2-degree pencil beam RF laser, radio frequency laser, lock on to a ship or anything. Where's the curve? 30 miles. We're talking about an oil platform, 9.4 miles. Let's do the math for 30 miles.
This is on the list, so in the info box below the re-ups on the Premiere stream, these shows that aren't going out live, and the live shows, there's a link to Flat Earth Proofs, and on that list is the Block 2, because it has to have direct line of sight. You've got to have a connection with the thing you're painting. They call it painting the target. In other words, you put that light or that beam or however you want to describe it physically onto the target, and then you guide in your ammunition to blow it up. Well, without line of sight, in other words, if there was an Earth curve and you were at a tangent and there's a physical obstruction, this bulge, this edge in the way, then you couldn't get line of sight, even at the distances they publish. So Earth's not a sphere. That's a practical demonstration. I mean, the Black Swan is a debunking of their claim that they could technically claim that you've got a line of sight with Looming. I mean, it's preposterous, but they could say that. But that I would also agree is one of those debunkable claims beyond the farcical nature of increasing R with the Black Swan, or saying it's refracted, but you've got a direct line of sight with it, which is absurd. There is no get out for these. So this will get added to another. We'll have to redo the Flat Earth Proof show and add this onto it. It's that good.
Yeah, but Looming, on the way they describe Looming versus what Looming really is, it's light hitting a denser object or more denser air.
Yeah, to prove
they're saying it's coming around the curve.
Yeah.
So they need the edge. Then they say, no, they don't need the edge.
Well, the rate it's curving's based on the edge. It's based on the radius value, 7/6R. So, like I say, they're screwed in every direction mathematically when they try and just get out of a picture that's seemingly impossible when you've got Chicago, based on the model, should be behind the curve, and there it is on the top of the curve. Well, it's still just been loomed up to the horizon at a rate that they've dictated or fudged. But it's based on the radius. The fudging's based on the radius. So you can't loom the horizon above the horizon. The moment it goes beyond where it's supposed to be, it debunks the notion that it's a physical edge. Well, up until now, we've got them arguing about either how much of the physical edge blocks stuff in the distance, or how much something that shouldn't really be there on their model geometrically has been loomed up. But the looming up is up to the horizon, not the horizon being refracted to loom above the horizon. That's absurd. Got to be a physical edge.
Yeah, and that picture clearly shows by the first platform that it's 6 point some miles out, and at that 1 foot observer height where that video and picture was taken, it can be no further than 1.23 miles. So we can see clearly plenty of ocean still and the horizon behind. So in every single way, if they tried to say looming here with these Black Swan proofs, what about the space between the shoreline and the first oil platform? That's 6 miles plus. We should see the horizon there, but it's not there. It's further out beyond the second oil platform. No, they're screwed every which way here.
Good morning, guys.
Chocolate.
What's up, man?
I had fun with you yesterday.
Yeah, that was fun over there.
So I was just telling Nathan about that time yesterday's little time on Discord before he starts the show here.
Right.
That they were conceding the Black Swan, and then they're saying, "Okay, now let's talk about the sun." And wait a minute, you just conceded the Black Swan, and now you want to go to the sun?
Maybe it's a cube or a banana. Or the Matrix. All of that makes more sense than it just being what it looks like, which is just flat. Everything else makes more sense.
But
Out of control.
But it doesn't mathematically. Have you started to appreciate that people are getting this argument more and more, Chocolate? I know you were one of the earliest ones to get it.
Who, me?
Yeah, definitely. Before me, even. So I assume you're recognising that people around you are starting to recognise just how strong a proof this is. Or maybe not. I'm just asking that question.
Yeah, I do see it with some people, and some people, I guess, don't really see it. They don't see the significance. I mean, obviously, the ballers don't. You know, they don't. They want to talk about the oil rigs all day and refraction all day. Just ignore the horizon. That's where it's not supposed to be. So, I mean, I don't know. It might take some time for people to really get it, but I mean, I get it. It's very simple. You know, you're taking a picture or a video of something that you should not be able to see. Impossibility. And there it is. And going to the extent of saying, no, it can't be that. So it's got to be something else. It's got to be refracting. It's got to be the Matrix or some silly nonsense like that. So yeah, this is pretty devastating apparently for them.
Because there's no mathematical rebuttal to it. Like I say, they can apply infinite 7 over 6, infinite over 6r, but that just brings back things that have gone to the edge, that are beyond the horizon being their edge. Well, if the edge is way off in the distance as it is in this image, it's no longer capable of definition with physicality. It's not a physical edge, it's not the edge of a ball, it's not obstructing anything. Now, if you're going to claim that R has increased, that fucks up everything. Excuse my French. That messes up everything else within the modelling.
Good evening.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
rebuttal. There's no rebuttal.
Well, there are rebuttals. They're just really asinine because, as yesterday Chocolate would affirm, the guy said, "Oh, that's okay. We'll just change our model."
Good afternoon. Is this model changing here?
Doesn't matter. You can change your model all you like. It's not the world we live in. That's a reification fallacy. But changing their model because it doesn't work just should demonstrate to people that, number one, the model doesn't work. Number two, you can't change the aspect of this particular model to make this image work. You'd need to adjust R. And as soon as you adjust R, you're saying the sphere's bigger than it is. Well, what, the equator isn't the equator anymore? What, the stars don't line up anymore because the ball's bigger on this one day? Or the horizon's not a physical location. That's the only real conclusion, because there is no mathematical get-out.
So it's not actually reality. It's just the model.
Yeah, this picture's reality. The horizon moves depending on how the weather is or how far you can see on a clearer day. But that doesn't mean that the physical edge of the sphere has changed size. which is how you get around it mathematically, because that's an impossibility. The sphere doesn't grow if the day's clear. That's nonsense. But if you want to claim that the sphere's changed size, you'll have a lot of explaining to do when it comes to all the things that hinge on it being that particular radius value and don't work without it. I mean, we've debunked the mathematics anyway. They exclude perspective with an orthographic representation of our world, with you seeing the side of your own head, rather than what you perceive through your actual eyeballs and is presented on these pictures. But to remove perspective, something that coincidentally works at almost an identical rate to their claim to be edge obscuring things, well, you've left with something that's not representative of reality to begin with. But until now, they could convince their audience that, no, look, I can make this picture work in my model. Well, not anymore. Got one Black Swan that debunks that you've got a physical sphere edge to obstruct things, ever. Because we haven't. We've got a horizon. The fact they've told you it's the edge of a sphere and said it bends at 80 to 120,000 feet, or doesn't bend at 120,000 feet until you get much higher, still should address the fact that they've told you your horizon's a sphere edge. And this proves it isn't. You don't have a sphere edge. It's not a physical location. The horizons are not actual location. Not the edge of a sphere. Not a sphere. The Earth's flat.
Yep. When they make it an actual position and it goes past that actual position, the Black Swan comes and lays a big turd on them. It says, sorry, boys. For your sphere to be true, the horizon cannot be further than 1.23 miles at a 1 foot observer height. But we have plenty of days where you could see further, and the horizon is way out there, which means not actual.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, Ranty Flat Earth, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, Arwin and 10th Man in G+. Very good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
That's good to be here.
Good morning.
Howdy doody.
And we're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord. Hello, one and all.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello. So I'm going to do a couple of quick shout-outs to those of you on the higher levels of membership for Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. So big shout-out to Leonardo Gonzalez, Kamikaze Gilmore, theflatearthchannel.com, and Colin Dresser, who are all Yodas and unicorns. So thank you very much for supporting the channel. Got about 67 members now, considering it's been less than a month since offering channel memberships. I'm absolutely elated. So thank you very much to all of you who've joined. So, any evidence of a physical sphere edge capable of geometric measurement?
This be based on a model or reality?
Physical, actual, reality. Any actual reality that we have a sphere edge for a horizon?
No, definitely not.
I've seen these the national lotteries launched a new version of that with Spot the Ball version called you've got to basically place the Black Swan on the geometric horizon. I've sent you guys a screenshot. Hello.
Hello. We've been Had an upgrade from Grave Dodger to Hyena. So big shout out to you, Grave Dodger. Thank you very much for your support.
Long time no see or hear, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Very well, Mindwalked. Good to have you. Any signs of Earth curvature from Oz?
Not from Highway 1.
No, you can see way too far into the
Not from
distance,
anywhere.
and refraction
Surveyors can't
doesn't help.
Surveyors can't even pick up curve.
Just framed Adam's. Is it Adam putting that? Yes, it is. Do you want to explain your image again?
Yeah, it was just something I stumbled across. Looks like the National Lottery's got their own version of Spot the Ball. It says there, look, for your chance to win £1 million, just place the Black Swan on the geometric edge. So,
Yeah, nice.
For January.
Nice.
All decisions are made by Ranty Flat Earther final, and I said ruled of course by Quantum Eraser. So, a good challenge out there for the ballers. Black Swan on the geometric edge.
I love it. I love it. This needs to be memeified for it to sink in. This is excellent. Who made this? You, Adam. This is brilliant.
Yeah, I was being a bit cheeky this morning.
I absolutely love it. This is ace.
How much is it to enter?
Pound.
You're the rule setter, Randy. Look, I nominated you as the arbiter of all this, so.
Oh, it says to win one. I thought that was the entry fee. For your chance to win $1 million. Fair enough. Just got to prove it's a physical sphere edge, right?
Black Swan on where you think the physical edge is. It's in there. It's in that picture. If it's a ball, there is a geometric edge in that picture.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Of an effect, you say?
I
That's
didn't
gonna be
say
difficult.
anything.
What's
I said
gravity?
any scientific evidence of gravity.
It's going to be difficult. Because, yeah, gravity isn't really a phenomena. It's an effect. So you can't really have a scientific evidence of it. It's just a side effect of relative density.
So that would classify a helium balloon going up as gravity too, then. Because that would just be an effect, right?
Is this scientific evidence?
Nah, definitely not scientific. It's just life. It's just things move relative to the density of them and the medium they're in. That's it.
But in a vacuum, why doesn't it go sideways?
Gravity.
Hold on. Let's see if I get better.
What
Let's see if I get a better response than did our lemon bird. What vacuum?
That's what I said.
Any
There's a
evidence?
vacuum where?
I don't think there is.
Filled with ether? Sorry,
Not
no.
naturally. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
We're waiting for demonstration of otherwise.
Yeah, we're still waiting
I
on
think
that.
we need
I'm
to
pretty
look at
sure
like
you
the
can't
way.
You can't even have a vacuum without a container.
That's true also.
I doubled
Well, I think-
that. I doubled
I
that.
think some people were like having different views on what the vacuum is like what I think some globers are saying that a vacuum is, where there's like a really small amount of like atmosphere or next to nothing, like that means it's a vacuum. And then some people just think it's like an actual vacuum, like like a vacuum chamber kind of thing. So I think some people get confused with the what they're actually talking about.
Well, pay
'Cause I hear
attention.
conflicting.
Pay attention
Yeah.
now, because as everything, their arguments change sporadically when they don't work. So now the argument is that a
So I'm
vacuum
hearing like different
could
things,
just be a pressure differential, right?
yeah.
A couple of these guys have
someone on the
said
show
it.
was
They
saying
don't
was-
even care. They don't even care that there is gas pressure there. They'll say, the difference in the air pressure above a wing and below the wing is a vacuum.
And
So
how
that's
do you weigh it?
preposterous.
Chocolate?
There is
how
no
would you weigh
vacuum, but you can
pressure?
think of it as a vacuum.
Yeah, that's not a vacuum. Yeah.
How would you weigh this pressure?
Well, if you ask an Orthodox, he'll tell you to put it in a container.
Well, Dr. Danny Faulkner said that there's matter in the outer space, and since there's matter in outer space, it's not a true vacuum without. If you have matter, it can't be a true vacuum. So, less pressure means vacuum to these people. Less pressure. So the higher he went up on the mountain, there was less air, so there was more vacuum as you went up. This is how they're describing it.
All right. What does the gas we breathe press on at the top? You know, because it's claimed to be 10 to the minus 17 torr. That's a pretty much damn near perfect vacuum. Well, I don't care how they qualify it, but if that was the case, and the sky, as I look at, say, Jupiter, which is my sky, if that was 10 to the minus 17 torr, outer space, sky vacuum, then the gas I'm breathing right now would want to fill that volume. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. So unless you can demonstrate that you can have gas pressure without a container...
the next question of Adam.
Sorry, go ahead.
Was that the rumpus? That sounded like the rumpus.
No, let me apologise. Sorry, Nathan. That was me. I was just lining up.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
No, it was my...
That's okay.
I was kind of rumpusing. It was an accident. I pressed play and I had my mic on, so apologies, Nathan.
That's okay. And any evidence of axial rotation?
I apologise.
It's okay. I'll use it.
For a purpose,
I have a
Nathan.
question.
Okay.
Well, before you go, Owen, let me just explain what I was just doing there. It's specific to that question.
Okay.
I was involved in a debate last night, and I was asked to put a question to MC2. And obviously, what my favourite question is how do you have gas pressure without a container? So it's 3 minutes if you want to hear the answer, Nathan.
You gave a 3-minute answer? Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
you're only allowed 3 minutes to answer, so you're given up to 3 minutes. But it's quite a good one because it does involve gravity, this explanation, and
I'm up for
entropy,
it.
and
Can everyone else hold their tongues while we get this segment from Adam? Go ahead, Adam.
Sure.
Yeah, share screen and sound. Quickly tell me if you can see my screen, and then tell me if you can't hear it. I'll press play now.
And which will actually be the final question of this debate. Go ahead, Adam.
Excuse me. Yeah, nice simple one to finish on. Earth's favour. How do you have gas pressure?
Can you turn it up a little bit?
Oh, that's easy. Gravity.
Hold on a second, Adam. Hold on, just one sec.
Is not just
Adam, can you hear me? I need the people on the panel to shut up so I can adjust the volume for the audience, the people at large, but as soon as you talk, you blast out their eardrums. So I'll ask again. Please, can you be quiet as Adam plays his video? Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
not state anywhere that there is a container. In fact, it talks about the distribution of energy, and we know through E equals mc squared that energy and mass are interchangeable. So it's a distribution of mass and energy. So what will happen is it seeks its lowest entropy. So if there's a force pulling things together, it will coalesce into a sphere. If there is no force involved, then things will distribute evenly throughout the area. So if the Earth did not have a downward acceleration, then we would expect to see according to the second law of thermodynamics, a uniform distribution of air pressure throughout the atmosphere. But we don't. We see a decreasing pressure with elevation. You can see that driving up a hill. You can have and feeling your ears pop. You can put a balloon on top of a bottle doing that, or you can watch the most recent video from Dwayne Kellum, who had a barometer on his 120,000 foot balloon. Now he is, to my understanding, a flat earther. So the Dwayne Kellum I See Stars number 24 would be his video that has the barometer. So we see a differential in the pressure. And the second law of thermodynamics states that if there is no force causing a differential, then we would expect to see an even distribution, but we don't. So the question is, what is the cause of this disequilibrium? And I say gravity. And nobody else has presented any other explanation that I've seen yet for that force causing the disequilibrium. I've seen people say it's a dynamic system, but never an explanation for that dynamic system, because when we have a differential of pressure that great, we see huge fast rushes of air switching places to equalize it out. And we don't see that in the atmosphere. It's very calm at the top of a mountain at times, and instead of having a great rushing of air coming up to meet it. So I think that the second law of thermodynamics definitely points to gravity.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. And
There you go, guys.
Okay, so he answers a different question then. So you ask him, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And he answers, how can you have a gas pressure gradient?
Yeah.
Right. Without the container, there can be no pressure. His answer was to address delta X. You're asking how we can have gas pressure in the first instance. That would be X. He's answering how you can have delta X, a gas pressure gradient.
Yep.
Okay, red herring. Same red herring they always offer. Doesn't address the question. Right, should we move on? Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, Ranty?
No,
Or anyone on Discord?
There is not. There is absolutely no proof of axial rotation. In fact, if you actually watch Team Skeptic, he said that if you jump up and down, the Earth rotates underneath you. We don't experience that.
Even Daniel.
That was actually pretty cute when he said that, because I was like, oh, maybe he's not up to date with the rest of his Glober friends who would actually argue against that. Because we're supposed to see some type of a Coriolis effect, because the Earth is supposed to be spinning underneath things in the air, but yet we don't. And then the argument turns to, oh, this is why we don't see the thing that we're supposed to see. It's all very adorable.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
What's the sun?
Don't know. Any evidence of the distance to it? Whatever it may be.
Well,
No
there's
evidence for the distance.
There's only apparent distances, because there's nothing else than appearances. It's all light.
You can measure an angular size to it, but essentially that's all you have.
Not actual size. That's not very useful.
They're not actual size.
But
Not
you'll still be
actual
making
size,
assumptions.
not actual distance.
But that's not what I'm asking for. I'll just ask again.
The answer is no.
What about anyone on Discord? Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Maybe you could use non-actual triangulation.
You're not on Discord.
Have they ever done a time of like a flare leaving the sun and when it hits Earth or something like that? Never. It's just a question. I've never heard of that, but
No.
no. Okay.
That's what I'm asking. No, clearly not.
Yeah, no. I have no idea. No, I've the answer is
Fair
no,
enough.
but I just thought that would be interesting.
Fair enough.
There is something like that.
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius?
No, South Africa's still flat.
Radius.
Well, not after the Black Swan, for sure.
Yep, but they love to use the radius, but you don't even know where to start. They just assume at every point. It's just, oh, the equator. Oh, it's a radius. Oh, it's a ball, so it has a radius. So we're going to assume that ball radius and then use that in explaining how things are a ball.
Wouldn't it also have different radiuses? being that it's an oblate spheroid. It's not even a perfect sphere. So it would have a different radius, north to south, as opposed to east to west.
Silence, chocolate.
Oh, silence! Let me not say that out loud.
Chocolate, you're right about that, because to the glober, the Earth is like a big man's belt with many holes in it to adjust daily.
Go ahead, Ranty.
Black Swan is on screen. So I'm going to just present a video that's been touted for proof of looming by the globe for many years now, since it was actually put out. Let me just show you that.
While you're putting it up, what are we looming exactly?
Well, we're looming something from behind the curve, Nathan.
Okay.
So this is going to be proof of extreme refraction. So this is extreme refraction, the best they can get, the most, refractive things they can get, the hot temperatures, cold temperatures, everything they can get to make a proof of something being loomed up from beyond Earth curve. So in this case, we're going to assume that this is Earth curve here. And then what we're going to do is going to play this video, and we are going to see a very small amount of refraction with this little bit of red popping up from behind this Earth curve. But that's kind of like a nail in the coffin to these guys, because do you know what? The horizon always stays in the same place. And the thing that's being loomed up is being loomed up from beyond the horizon. Yet when we go back to the image here, these are supposed to have been loomed up beyond the horizon, but the horizon is beyond that. Game over, Globers.
Yeah, it's a geometric impossibility.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Do we breathe propane?
No, we don't.
Just checking.
Propane.
Some people might.
No, but it doesn't even matter. Look, it's a scaled down concept. But the problem is when you're looking past that layer, right? You're not seeing the bottom or the side of the pipe. And that is what supposed R-based refraction is supposed to stand for. Well, you're not seeing the bottom part. You're seeing just in the distance, just slightly nudged, because that is what it actually does. That is what actual refraction does. Just brings a corner. It doesn't go in a circle.
Sure.
So
Ranty's example was of super hyperlooming. But in order to do
it's
it,
not enough. It's not infinite. And they need infinite refraction. And it's not infinite. It's not strong enough.
But to do it, they needed propane and propane accessories. What did they? That's what they needed, isn't that right, Paul?
Propane.
Yeah, I didn't realize we live in a propane environment. And propane is what causes things to live.
No, but the propane is just to make to make it stronger, because it's supposedly smaller scaled. But it's just not going to show the effect that is required. It's just going to nudge what you're seeing when you look through it. It's not going to bend the view all the way around it, because that's not how refraction works.
Their model has a propensity.
Hold on 1 second, 10th man. Hold on. No, that's correct, Darwin. That is not how refraction works, but that's now that argument's now superseded. Mathematically, they've got a bar that they slide in their model. So while we can argue all day about how refraction doesn't do that, and you'd be correct, we no longer need to do that. Because as in the demonstration, there's a physical edge. You know, what the propane has been poured onto is the physical, whatever that is. I assume it's some sort of cylinder. But they've poured it onto the cylinder, which is a physical edge that's obscuring the thing behind it. And they're saying, look, we can bring it back up. It's an effect of refraction. The thing behind the physical edge has been brought back. So in their examples, they understand implicitly that they've got a physical edge that they need to bring things back from. But the Black Swan picture debunks the notion that we've got a physical sphere edge. No longer do they have a geometry to say, you don't understand geometry. What, the geometry of a not actual location? Yeah, that breaks the model. They can't account for it mathematically. But previously, Arwin, they could. I know it's absurd, but they did. That's why we ended up in a draw. I say, slightly looming, non-standard refraction, hyena, holographic projection of a lighthouse from beyond the Earth curve, edge, based on an R value. Yeah? Well, that was the address to them just saying, yeah, it's just refraction. Well, that's a draw. Now, what are you going to have? The horizon loomed above the horizon? No.
No, it's Yoda using his mind tricks.
Right. Well, that's why I say it's not how refraction works. So that scenario that they think it's supposed to be can't be. It's impossible. It's not based in empirical actual optics. And this video even demonstrates that. It's not what light does.
The geometric impossibility. We do not live on a sphere.
Indeed.
Any evidence of
I saw the most incredible video the other day regarding proof for axial rotation. You have to forgive me, I couldn't speak up earlier.
That's all right. Axial rotation.
So can I present a video?
Is it your video?
Yeah.
You made it.
No, huh?
Then no.
It's from a very it's absolutely incredible. I've never seen it before. I saw it yesterday. It's this individual named Bob Nodell, and he had what's called an optical gyroscope.
Cool.
And he took a rotational measurement, and he measured a 15-degree per hour rotation. He's a prominent flat earther. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
Yeah, we've heard it. Rotation of what?
The gyroscope.
Well, you thought this. No,
it's a
you didn't-
rotational measurement. Just like you take a measurement, like you use a ruler to take a measurement, or you take a pressure to take a measurement, you're taking a measurement at the location.
I understand. So I'll just repeat the question from housekeeping. Any evidence of axial rotation of the gyroscopic? I mean, Earth-based variety.
Yes, he did it. He did it on Earth.
No.
You know,
Sorry, I'll say it once more. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, not of the gyroscopic variety. So when I ask you what rotates and you say the gyroscope,
that's what gyroscopes do. They rotate.
So what
does he understand how a
No,
gyroscope
this is
works?
an optical gyroscope.
Yeah. So
It was positioned on Earth, fixed to a position on the surface.
So it definitely wasn't moving then.
What was moving?
Well, the gyroscope,
The
according
object
to you. According to you, you've said the gyroscope. 15-degree drift.
Yes, it
right?
was fixed to Earth.
Yeah, I know. I've heard all that.
Was fixed to Earth.
So this isn't proving Earth spins.
That's exact. It's a measurement.
Do you want to tell me? Sorry, a measurement of what?
Of axial rotation.
Oh, so you've decided that this drift is actually Earth rotating under a fixed frame of a spinning gyro. So let me just summarise. The gyroscope, which is fixed in its frame of reference, deviates in its gimbal to the tune of 15 degrees. And your presupposition, your presumed cause of this very unnatural effect, would be that Earth rotating as a non-inertial spinning reference frame rotated underneath the fixed frame of the gyro. That would be your claim then. See, the problem with that is that's an assertion of a Coriolis effect. The 15 degrees would be the deviation, as per the Coriolis effect, demonstrating that we would have, for this to be a proof of Earth rotation, two reference frames. A non-inertial spinning reference frame, claimed by you in this example to be spinning underneath the fixed frame of the gyroscope. Now, if the gyroscope's in an inertial reference frame, and the Earth is rotating underneath, as per your claim, then we'd have shortened travel if you were travelling from, say, Charlotte, North Carolina to LA. Then your flight time would be about 1.5 hours, because Earth would be rotating underneath. Now, we don't have shortened durations from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA. The flight time's between 4.5 hours, because Earth is not rotating underneath.
What about conservation of momentum?
Sorry, your example is to claim we have a Coriolis deviation to the tune of 15 degrees an hour, and now you're going to ask me about why it's not deviating and conserving momentum? Well, that's not a deviation.
I'm talking about your example of the planes.
My example of the planes debunks the claim of the gyro that we have Earth rotating underneath this inertial frame demonstrated in the gyroscope's rotation. So if Earth is rotating underneath the inertial frame of the gyro, then it's also rotating underneath an aeroplane, and you'd have shortened travel time. Don't now justify why we're not seeing the claim deviation you think is being proven by the gyro, because it's being debunked by the planes. You don't now have to justify this, because it debunks your original claim. The gyroscope absolutely doesn't prove your assumption that Earth is rotating underneath as a non-inertial spinning reference frame. Your claim is debunked because we don't have two separate reference frames.
Can I chip in for a moment, please? I have some relevant information to this gyro claim. Nathan, is that okay?
Sure. Go ahead.
Right. All right. So, yeah, the ring laser gyro, right? It was actually the only thing that did the drift, because the regular physical gyro didn't do that. Just for starters, okay? So the gyro, that laser gyro, it's a light-based device. So what it proves is that light, for some mysterious reason, seems to drift for 15 degrees per hour. That is what it proves. So it doesn't actually prove any rotation of the Earth being a ball. And then, on top of that, even if it were in some way, okay, that drift was perpendicular. It wasn't a ball-based orientation drift. No, it was straight to the axis of up and down. That's how the rotation happened. In some random point, not at the North or South Pole, okay? So the entire claim that thing supposedly proves axial rotation is so ridiculously outrageous. It's really just embarrassing every time somebody that brings that up and thinks it's real.
So just a correction from the
that's
chat.
what you guys have wanted for so long, is a gyroscope proving rotation, and mechanical gyroscopes do measure rotation. You just have a precision gyroscope.
Oh, really? Then why didn't it do that? Why did only the ring laser gyro do that?
Fog.
Because it wasn't a precision gyroscope. There's actually a video on FE4.
Sure.
Sorry, just a correction from chat. So Zach says, no, fiber optic gyro, just for our terminology's sake, it was a fiber optic gyro, not a ring laser gyro.
Sorry, I mix them up sometimes. But the ring laser gyro picks it up, right? Or the one, and the physical one doesn't. Why?
Who cares?
Because it didn't pick up anything. It didn't have any drift whatsoever.
Who cares? Right? Who cares? If you assert that it has picked it up, that necessitates a Coriolis deviation in the inertial reference frame. So if you've got a Earth that spins underneath the gyro, you've got an Earth that spins underneath an aeroplane, and a helicopter, and a drone, and a ball, like Neil deGrasse Tyson claims as per your religion. Your Earth that spins is claimed to have a Coriolis effect. Neil deGrasse Tyson explains it. The ball gets kicked and apparently deviates from your perception because Earth rotates underneath. Same exact claim the gyroscopes used to make the assertion that you've got a separate reference frame spinning underneath the gyro. Same as Neil deGrasse Tyson's ball. But it all falls apart when you have a plane that's not deviating, that isn't having Earth rotating underneath, shorten its duration. So no, you can't have balls deviating and not aeroplanes and drones and helicopters. They deviate more because they're in the air for a much longer period of time than a ball. But nevertheless, you can measure that separate reference frame according to you with a fiber optic gyroscope. No, you cannot. Number one, this is definitely not scientific evidence. It's a man-made device, and you're trying to justify an effect in a man-made device like it's some sort of natural phenomena, which it isn't. So it's definitely not scientific evidence. It's a pseudoscience man-made device with a claimed to be justified proof of a cause for a claim you've made up that's generated within the man-made device. So it's pseudoscience of the highest degree, and the assertion, if proven, would necessitate planes having a shortened duration when travelling west. They don't. Ergo, we don't have a Coriolis deviation. We don't have separate reference frames. And that's precisely what the gyros claim to be demonstrating. Separate reference frames we don't have and don't observe in drones, planes, helicopters, or anything beyond this bloody religious zealot like Neil deGrasse Tyson asserts, with bullets and balls that are only in the air for a fraction of a second. So you wanting to now argue about angular momentum being conserved doesn't give you deviation, and that's precisely what your gyroscope's supposed to be proving. We just don't have one in reality.
The
Can I jump
gyroscope
in
was
for a sec,
affixed
Nick?
to Earth. The ball and the planes you're talking about are not.
What part of you don't get... Oh, really? So the ball that Neil deGrasse Tyson is fixed like the gyroscope is to Earth when he asserts that it's deviating
No,
because of
it's
Coriolis
not.
effect. So shut up then, you stupid idiot. The gyro's demonstrating the separate reference frame that the ball travelled through. Yeah, sit back down,
No, it's
you double-speaking little shit. No, you're supposed to have a Coriolis deviation. Your Tyson priest says so. Ball thrown deviates because of Earth turning underneath. Unfortunately, if Earth's turning under a ball, it turns under birds, drones, helicopters and aeroplanes. You can't have it only turning underneath balls and bullets to give you a fraction of a second of hang time and say, yeah, Earth's underneath that. But as soon as a plane leaves the ground, oh, well, it's conserving the momentum. The bullet just doesn't conserve it, and the ball doesn't conserve it, but a helicopter does. Yeah, it's just double speak, mate. Either you've got two separate reference frames and you have a deviation, or you have not. We have not, because the thing that would demonstrate it were the things that are in the air for the longest period.
The man-made devices that have engines that power them are supposed to demonstrate some supposedly natural phenomenon. That's kind of anti to your position, Nathan.
I've made a claim here, you stupid idiot. What's my position? You're making the claim. You said gyroscopes prove Earth turns. No, they don't. Because that would necessitate two separate reference frames, which we absolutely do not encounter. That's the end of the argument.
I can turn off the GPS
Reference
on my
frames are
drones,
just
and if I let it hover there, if I let it hover there, it will come back, and I can just let it hover there until it drains flat in 30 minutes, and then land it, and it will land exactly where it was before. So
yeah, we don't have
that one.
We don't have two separate reference frames with a non-inertial and inertial reference frames. That's what globe Earth with,
Well, if
with a
it
spin
was
would
spinning,
have.
it would move away from me.
Yeah, it would seem to deviate. In reality, it's just staying in its fixed
Well, it
position.
would.
Its fixed reference frame, like the gyro example. So the gyro's got its own reference frame, and the gyro inside your drone has got its own reference frame. So therefore, as you watched it and you turned underneath away from it, it would seem to drift away from you. But it doesn't, because we don't have two reference frames.
Talking about drones, I've got something I wanted to bring up. I'm just screen sharing it at the moment, but I'll wait till you're done.
I'm done.
Okay. All right.
Reference
Can you see
frames
my
are a
screen?
man-made thing that we apply to certain situations.
Yeah, they're applied to the gyro
You can have
example
an
I just
infinite
debunked.
amount- you can have an infinite amount of them. They're a
I
point.
don't give a shit. Your gyro's got two. It demonstrates, or is claimed to demonstrate, Coriolis deviation. I've debunked it because we don't experience that in reality. So while you might attribute this claim to be cause of this man-made effect, it's not true because we don't observe it. Nothing's deviating in reality. You don't see drones drifting. You don't see planes taking much shorter durations when going west. Nothing like that is actually occurring. Now, while the priests might say it happens with something with a very short hang time, it would happen much, much more with things that stay in the air for longer. It doesn't, because it's not two reference frames. Earth isn't rotating underneath. Now, I appreciate that at this point your cognition says, argue about why it's not turning underneath, when the very claim that it is comes with a Coriolis deviation that you're claiming takes place in the gyro, two reference frames. So what is this bloody word salad now about how we've got infinite reference frames, when your gyro only uses two to demonstrate a Coriolis we don't experience? Shut up!
Well, if something's spinning, it would be
If you assume Earth spinning, yeah. We've heard it all before. You're not going to get there very quickly. Shit for brains. If something's spinning, so what? Now it's on to beg the question that Earth's spinning.
No, that's the definition of an inertial reference frame.
So what's spinning in this example? Earth? You're going to beg the question immediately when I've pointed out that if something's spinning in your vernacular means I'm going to now assume Earth's spinning with my next example. Prove me wrong.
Well, it was affixed to Earth, Nathan.
And is Earth spinning automatically in this example?
It was affixed to Earth, and the device, the measurement device, picked up a 15 degree per hour rotation.
Of the Earth.
Rotation. Therefore, Earth is because it was affixed to
Yeah,
Earth.
that's a formal logical fallacy called affirming the consequent. So what, you think that you're going to get around me pointing out that you're begging the question by formulating the begging the question into affirming the consequent, formal logical fallacy? Yeah, you're not very sharp. Shut up and sit down. I'm sick of hearing you.
Go ahead. Tell me how that's a logical fallacy.
If P, then
Explain
Q,
it,
Q, therefore P. Yeah? If I see a 15 degree rotation in the gyroscope, then Earth is spinning. Earth is spinning because I see a 15 degree rotation in a gyroscope. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. Formal logical fallacy, affirming the consequent. Now shut up! Go ahead.
So you
Mind
can't
warped.
Measure, you can't measure.
I'm going to kick you out if you can't keep your stupid mouth shut. I've explained multiple times that the ring laser fiber optic gyro example is a demonstration of two reference frames we don't experience in reality. I don't want to hear any more from you. Mind warped. Go ahead.
Cool.
Can't we also
yeah,
void out the ring laser gyroscope if it has a computer chip in it that's already pre-programmed?
You calibrate it.
Sorry, why are we still
Right
talking
before.
about something that, if proven, would give you two reference frames? So if we argue that your example's correct, and that the gyro shows a 15 degree turn of the Earth underneath, then I debunk it immediately with things that aren't showing that in reality. So why are we still arguing about what the gyro does? Are you too stupid in the Discord server? Have you not listened to a word I've said? The gyro, if proven in your case, demonstrates two reference frames according to your example. If there are two reference frames, flight times are reduced. Drones deviate. Helicopters drift. So no, that doesn't happen, ergo there are not two reference frames. So what, you want to continually argue about what the gyro's proving? If it's proven in your example, planes must be shortened durations. Drones must drift. Balls must go into goals because they've had the Earth turn underneath them. Suddenly you've got
like the Foucault
snipers who give actual accounts on this show of accounting for Coriolis, when we seem to have an endless stream of people coming on saying, yeah, I've got experience with these munitions, and they do not account for Coriolis. No Earth turn underneath needed. Yeah, so that's what we have in reality. A claim from the priests that they're accounting for these short hang time balls, because Earth's rotating underneath, and gyros, that according to you, show Earth rotating underneath, but it doesn't rotate underneath a plane. So it doesn't rotate underneath. That's the end of this argument. Don't want to hear another word about bloody gyros.
Okay, let me make my closing point and then I'm done, okay?
You haven't got a closing point. You think you are now entitled to the mic to make a declaration upon being absolutely crapped on? No. For the fourth time, I'm trying to get someone else who's not you, who's having to have this broken down repeatedly, to use the mic. Not you.
I mean,
Go ahead, mind
hilarious.
warped.
A flat earther, and he proved.
I'm gonna have to
rotation.
stick him
That's
on mute.
common-
Anybody
Yeah.
who says I'm unreasonable for using the mute button, that's why.
Otherwise, I'll mute him. It's fine.
Mute him. You're not unreasonable. He's been given multiple opportunities.
Right, go ahead, mind warped.
Cool. Can you guys see
Just
my
on
screen?
a point of order, Nathan, can you just unmute Fuzzy Ewok in Discord?
Yes. One more time. You're unmuted,
Thank you.
but try not to interrupt for We will try again. For
No,
the
no, I
love
know.
of Christ. Right, please, in your own time, mind warped. You are on screen.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, so I just drew this up while the show was on, so it's just pretty basic. But it was to do with, you know how I do drone flights every now and then. And I tried doing a few little observations. And anyway, so what was really bugging me is that, like, even though I was like 100 meters up, people saying, ooh, is that a horizon curve that I see there? And I'm just like, that's impossible. Like, you would not see that. So what I've been thinking of doing is what's been playing on in my head is this. Like, so you've got this guy here, right? That's the horizon that he sees with his eyes. Okay. This is him. Like, this is Earth. or you know, supposed spherical Earth that the globers keep saying it is. This is the guy, and that's if he spins around in a circle, that's how far he can see with the horizon, right? And then this is also, I'll zoom in here. This would be me, and this would be, you know, what I could see, or say if I had my drone, and it's hovering at, you know, 5'7", this would be the horizon. Even though it's a circle, it is a flat line. So even if I go up, say I go up 100 meters, and then I can see the horizon, even though that's a circle, people have this misconception of like, okay, if the Earth is a globe, then, you know, when you see the horizon, it's going to have a curve in it, like, but it's not going to, like, until you get like to like really massive heights. Like, if we are on a globe, by the way. But so when I put my drone up, say even if I went to 200 meters, this horizon, you know, where the sky meets the ground, like it's still going to be a straight line. And I just wanted to clarify that with people, because it's really been pissing me off. Because am I making sense right now?
You're describing.
Can I say something, Mind?
Yeah, you're describing
Can I
your
say
field
something?
of view, and yeah, I understand. And yeah, you are making sense.
Yeah, like so like this is a protractor here. Like basically what I was going to like say, if people didn't understand it, is like just get a protractor and put it on a balloon, right? Like, you know, obviously not a sharp one because it's going to pop it, or do it on a basketball, and then, you know, put this end of the protractor where you are in theory, and then draw a line which should end up being, you know, a circular line, which should end up being like this. So that would be your horizon. And even if I flew my drone up higher, then my horizon would just expand out, but it would still be a level horizon, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't that make sense?
Can you zoom back out?
Yeah.
I have a bit of a problem with the explanation. I've heard Globers talk about this too.
Let's just dub the what this example will be called. This is the wonky boob example.
Yeah, it's a really bad drawing, sorry, but yeah, like, yeah, it's just like, so in theory, this is what you're always going to see. Like, even though you, like, you know, it's a circle that's being drawn, because the eye, when you spin around, is just, you know, is seeing the horizon. But you're drawing it in a circle, but essentially it's still just going to be a level straight line. But that's just going to continue around you. You know what I mean? So even if I had my drone higher, it's still going to be the same. It's not going to have this slight bend in the end that, you know, that keeps being left in comments on my drone footage. It's just, how can that not make sense to people?
Except as you go up,
hold on a second, guys. Hold on.
Below your eye line. Sorry.
Just 1 second, Rams. I just want to shout out a couple of super chats, and then Paul's waiting patiently. So shout out to Minder Goddesses, cheers. Shout out to Mason B, who says shout out 10th Man, Ranty, and Sipwin, cheers. And then shout out to Wind Rider, who's one of my channel members. Hold on, damn, the last super chat, man, it always goes off screen. Give me another second, Paul. I won't be a sec. So shout out to Wind Rider. This show would make Jerry Springer proud. Kudos to you all. Well, that's kind of an insult.
Is that an insult?
Yeah, backhanded compliment. Thank you very much for the super chat, Wind Rider. Really do appreciate your support. And another thank you to Mason B and the Mind of God. So yeah, go ahead, Paul.
So, okay. Just quickly before you do say something, I just want to apologise. I mean, I've literally just drawn this, so it's not the best.
No apologies needed. Ace, you made your point. No apologies needed. Excellent example. Don't, you know, the fact that one's got a bit of a nipple on it and they're a bit, you know, that's just a joke.
It does look. I was thinking it more looked like an eye, but yeah, no. Yeah. You've just got to. Out mind. Come on.
Fair enough. Paul, go ahead. Thank you very much, by the way, Mind Warps. That's brilliant. Go ahead, Paul.
No worries, man. All good.
Hey, Mind Warp. Pull up that image of the make it bigger, of the guy that's looking at the horizon.
Yep. Well, that horizon line should be higher, but yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Now, typically, how far would you see of the horizon? Like if I'm looking out over the ocean or whatever, how far would you see? Like from point to point, like from the right side of.
I wouldn't know. It'd be pretty far.
Right. Now, what you can sometimes use in landmarks be able to tell you the distance of what that would be, correct? Like if you saw two land masses. Okay.
Well,
so
I've sat on the beach and like seen rock nests, and so that's a good 30 kilometers away. So
okay. Now, what would be the curvature between those 2 points? Like if you knew the distance between 2 points of your
I think
visual.
they say there should be 30 meters lost. So
No, left to right, not straight ahead.
I wouldn't have thought there'd be any, but if it's me standing on ground.
Well, there obviously it's a ball, according to the heliocentric model.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
should
but
be
if it's a
curvature.
ball, like there shouldn't be curvature. Like on a ball, if you're standing there, there should be no curvature. Like even if it's a ball, like and you just span around and saw the horizon, you'd be seeing this. So you know when they say like that's what you would see. Like
But
like
even
that.
what you're seeing there, that line is curved. So obviously there is curvature.
Yeah, but that's the only way I could represent it. But in
I
theory,
know.
even though that's curved, like you're actually going to be seeing.
It's just a field of view, isn't it?
Can I just say,
Wait a minute. But so wait a minute though. I mean, even in this field of view here that you're using, that you're looking at, there should be some curvature because it's a sphere. Even though, yeah, you're looking at it from.
Not when you're on the ground, there wouldn't be, would there?
Yes. So if you go to the,
there would be.
You can get the exact numbers from Mick West. He's got it in the advanced tab. So yeah, the edges should curve down. This is the whole point of our argument. I was going to get to it. Paul's got to it first, so I'll let him have the thunder rather than me. But yeah, they've got a physical edge. Yeah. But go ahead, Paul. Just expand on.
Then me afterwards because I'm about to burst as well. So
yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Because it's a physical sphere, supposedly, and if you got, let's say, I got a field of view of, let's say, 30 or 40 miles or whatever you could see from your field of view, you can do the calculations and determine how much curvature should be there. Just using the calculations. I'd have to pull up the curve calculator or try to figure it out myself, but you could figure that out, how much should be there. They're going to focus on arc, like how much of or not arc, but angle, or whatever the word is, the angular size.
I don't mean to overtalk, but wouldn't it, the lower down you are, like, say if this guy ended up just laying down on the floor, right, and then he looked out at the horizon, like, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference between a flat or a globe Earth? Because
you would. Stop. Yes, you would. That's why we've got this current argument. I'm going to stick the picture on screen right now. So we've got the Black Swan, as it's been dubbed, and this guy's got to. Doesn't even matter if it's 5 feet, but he gets to about a foot off the ground. And when you have a reification of a physical sphere edge, suddenly you've got a massive problem because the horizon is their physical edge, and you can calculate mathematically how much it's bending at the edges because it's a physical edge. Okay. And from ground level, it should bend a tiny bit. Now, when we had a composite image from Sleeping Warrior done by Ranty, then it's wide enough that you should be able to calculate a certain amount of physical curvature to the physical obstruction that they're arguing about how much we should or shouldn't see when we're blocking out a bit of the land at the bottom of Mackald Lighthouse on the Isle of Man. So because it's a very wide panorama, yeah, you should be able to calculate how much that physical edge drops. Now, this is the thing we're trying to drum home to all of the audience at the moment and the Globers, that's a massive problem if you've got a physical edge and it's demonstrably not in a physical location or in an impossible physical location for your model. You know, that's a very big problem because that's where they've swindled us. They've told us about a physical edge and it bending and seeing the edge of it from space as a nice giant sphere that as you get lower, it, you know, flattens out because it's your horizon. Well, no, the horizon's not the edge of a sphere. I don't want anyone else to respond to that. I want Adam to have the next words because he said he's fit to burst. So go ahead, Adam.
There's 2 points. I think if you do a panorama of what you're saying and take the average of the center point, then you will get what you're describing, which is just a flat circle. But
yeah, that's what it's meaning.
If you take the center, a single image, then the curve, whilst it will be small, because because it is defined by their geometry and not the meeting of, not the vanishing point of image, then it is defined by geometry. And in doing so, by looking at that center image, if you then just analyze the side, you would see a small dip. Now, as you then pan, everything would then readjust. Yeah. So that the bit that was highest in the center would move. If you move right, would move.
Yeah, that would
left,
come
left,
level
yeah.
again in the
So
middle.
each individual image will demonstrate the curvature to a very small degree. Now, that degree at this point is going to be defined by observer height, not particularly optics in their model, okay, because they have the geometric edge. So it's more likely, yeah, that optics is going to do. Well, this is true when you conflate it with what we see in reality, so I won't. But the point of vision that you're talking about and the measurements would be limited, I think, to the distance to the horizon, as opposed to what we would consider optics. But it would still be very small. But that circle that you draw, the little nipple, that's what you have to apply the mass to the curvature, that little arc segment. So it would be reduced because you're taking a lateral section of an arc, but it's still there because it has to be there because it's created by the geometry.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah, I wasn't arguing for either flat or globe. I was just saying.
I know. Just hold on one second.
Yeah.
Just one second. Just one sec. Yeah. And when Adam says the geometry, he's talking about the physicality of the globe they think they live on. So when it's reified into existence, it has a physical geometry, and that's their starting point. That's the R value. Now, we were saying this 2 years ago. We were saying it in a different phraseology, so we were charging them with, so there's a physical wall of water between us and the target, and their answer is yes. And the edge of it is what we see. And the bottom of stuff that we're saying is missing is what's obscured by that physicality of the sphere edge. And that sphere edge has a geometry. Now, in previous examples, you can loom things back from beyond that physical geometrical sphere edge. Now, the people who recognise the devastating nature of our current argument with the Black Swan deny they even have an edge, which is great. Or say they can't see it, which is even better.
Well, going on that again, so like I was leading to another point here, like how I've been talking about this rocket launcher I'm wanting to do. Like, how high would I have to go in theory? Because I spoke to QE on Skype, we're just messaging each other, and he thinks I have to go quite high, like way higher than I thought I'd have to go, to kind of get any kind of proof that like we're living on a flat Earth or a globe Earth. Like I'd have to go insanely higher. Like, what do you guys think would be like a decent height to get an observation from a rocket with cameras on it?
I don't think you need to go any higher than ground level. The Earth would be obviously spherical from ground level. That's kind of what we've just explained. It would be measurably.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I wouldn't really have to go that high, really.
No. I mean, well,
to get like a decent like view.
Well, the point is, the starting point of their mathematics is their physicality, the geometry, based on R. And you can make those observations and measurements from ground level. Yeah, you can go higher, and you could do it a different way. You know, you might have a super clear day.
In theory, that curve would get greater the higher we go, but I don't think it does. Yeah.
Can I just say something?
That's right. That stuff is.
Yeah, that stuff is flat, but he's referring to the reification he foists upon you in us using it, which is to say he's holding a sphere model, he's holding a beach ball, and when he's describing what you see from the edge of the beach ball, he's describing where you see their physical edge obscuring something in the distance, and as you rise in altitude, that turning into their magical blue marble ball. But the edge is still the edge, it's a physical edge that you can't see past because it's physical. It doesn't matter if it's in transition, that doesn't happen when we raise in altitude, or from the ground. The effect in their mathematics is the same. They have a physical edge.
Can I jump back in before
Okay,
transition
can
away?
we let Flatstoid say? Flatstoid been trying to talk for like a half hour.
My bad,
Can we let him say
Flatsoid.
something?
Go ahead, Flatsoid.
Catching me just as well, gonna say I have to go. No, I was just saying, does he know what barrel distortion is?
Yeah,
Who, me?
You might get more barrel distortion at a higher altitude. That is a consideration. It depends on the lens on his drone.
You know I know what barrel
Yeah.
distortion is, Flatzoid. I work with optics all the time.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So, you know, the higher with altitude, the more field of view you're going to have. It's going to actually make it greater.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like when I'm doing this rocket, I've obviously got to try and I'm trying to find them, but I'm having a bit of difficulty trying to find action cams that I can put on this rocket that have the least amount of barrel distortion or fisheyeing effect on them. But they make action cams really fisheyed, so it's quite hard. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to use.
That's where you got the problem, because at the end of the day, it's actually just more optical than anything. So, you won't actually be
Yeah,
able to come
exactly.
to the right deduction.
Yeah. But that I was thinking, like, what? Because that's fair enough for what we're saying, because we're on the same page. But how high would I have to go to please the globe Earth community without them going, "Oh, you didn't go high enough"? You know, like going to all this effort. You know.
As I said, you don't need any altitude because they'll reify the horizon into the physical edge of a sphere from ground level. And with that, I'll say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Of course, be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making this live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
If someone would go to Master B and put up the 2 slides that I just put up there, the highest you need to go is 1 foot.
This one with the
I'm on Master B, so I can see the pictures. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
I
put
know.
it up. Now, hang on. Let me get my point set. You can use your drone for your business and go make money with it. Because if this picture at 1 foot shows over 1.23 miles, it proves what your drone could. I mean, this is much better at 1 foot than whatever your drone does. Because the horizon cannot be the horizon cannot be further than 1.23 miles, or else that other slide, if Nathan, you can show that other slide that Ben at Taboo Conspiracy did, would change the whole shape of this sphere. And we'll look at
we're
this.
on the same page. Like I've shown you guys like my Rottnest Island footage where I was seeing the whole island from 37 kilometers away. You know, like, and so yeah, agreed. I agree with you on that. I was just doing it as like a debunking for the globe earthers, really. It wasn't really for us.
No, I understand. I'm not saying don't do it or your attempts were bad. I'm just saying 1 foot kills them. 1 foot does what you want to do with the drone much better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So this
I'd
slide
suggest one of
that
the
I
most.
took as a
Sorry.
hang on. This slide that I took as a screenshot with Ben at Taboo Conspiracy's permission from his Dallas seminar. That's the one I want to focus on. Is it on screen, Nathan?
For the audience, yes.
Okay, good. So I'll go
Is
ahead
that
and comment.
Bye ball one that you put up?
No, it's the one above that one.
Oh, the blue circle with the
Yes.
green triangle in it.
Yes. So, because the picture of 1 foot above, let me rephrase that. Because an observer height of 1 foot can not see the horizon past 1.23 miles to match the globe. In that picture that says bye-bye globe, we see it well over 9.41 miles. So if we just round it off to 10 miles, this would be the new math for their sphere. The radius would go to 264,000 miles versus the current 3,959. This would mean that we're approaching almost the size of the sun at over 800,000. in circumference. We would be at 528,000 circumference at this point. Really? Bye-bye, globe.
Yeah,
so
I
this
mean,
is
my word. Basically, what he's telling you is the globe is debunked. Like, you want to go out and throw a camera up there and get as high as you need, do it. Enjoy. And I'd love to see it. But don't worry so much about, oh, let me debunk the globers or they won't be happy. Listen, you could send a balloon 2 million miles up. If you didn't get curvature, all they would say is, oh, you didn't send it the further 2 million miles that you need for the curvature. You know how
exactly, and
silly it
that's
is.
what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
don't
exactly
worry
what I was
about
getting
them.
at.
Yeah, man. Do your thing. Don't worry about them. Globe is debunked.
I was just gonna say,
I'm gonna have fun building it
The
anyway. It's
main
gonna
thing-
be fun.
Can I jump back in? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah.
I've got Mick West's curve thing up here because I think it represents what I was trying to say, though, better. Or trying to say, I think you guys are still talking that the horizon should be a certain eye level or wherever. But, you know, when you had your guy up there, if you look at this representation, you know, from the point to the right to the point to the left, let's say that's your observational distance, what you can see panoramic or from a panoramic view. Even in this here, he shows a bulge. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. You should still see a bulge from left to right because it's a physical geometric sphere, not just horizon rising up or disappearing, going from away from me, but it should be left to right as well. It has to be there. That's all I wanted to make sure I was clear on that, because you went on to the Black Swan, but I was addressing the bulge that you had to be left to right. I want to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, it's pretty clear in this picture. They think the horizon is the physical edge of the sphere. It's labelled here as bulge and horizon. Well, it isn't. But it needs to be if we're on a ball.
Right, exactly. That's what my point. It should be a physical. There should be a physical bulge, even panoramic or left to right. It should be a bulge.
Right. So as soon as you have an image that's beyond the capabilities of this calculator, i.e., they have a physical edge way off in the distance, it breaks the calculator. You can't refract the horizon above the horizon when their refraction value is based on the geometry of the sphere to begin with, i.e. the R value. So it's a undebunkable globe killer.
And that's when we are actually swimming around in Narnia, because again, where do they get this R value from in the first place? Right.
Yeah.
It's been good to speak to you all there. I've got to head off, but yeah, I'll try and get on the show a bit more. I've missed you guys.
Oh.
Yeah, brother. Come back more often, man.
I've had heaps going on. So
I just wanted
yeah,
to say to Mind Warped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted
man.
to say, I think one of the most important things when you do your observation with your rocket is that you can prove that your camera is at 90 degrees from plumb. Because if you can show that, then you can demonstrate that the horizon is not dropping as you rise in altitude. And I think that's probably the most important thing that you can show.
And that'll shut up Zanuck.
I mean, that's fair enough. I obviously will stick to the understanding that the horizon
Who
is
was
not an
that just
actual...
talking? Was that Rams speaking just then?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a dodgy connection.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, no, we speak on Discord. I just want to make sure it was here. Yeah. Cool.
But by doing so, you're pandering to their belief that the horizon's an actual physical edge of a sphere. And you're saying, where would their reified physical actual edge of a sphere start to transition into balldom? Well, very high, if it's a physical edge. But it isn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know
And that's.
I'm just pointing out...
I know that.
Yeah. Thanks. So, I'm just pointing out that there is no necessity to actually do anything at this stage, because we've won. But obviously, you feel free.
I'll just make a cool video.
Sure, exactly. Just just film the horizon, as that's something we're looking at. It'll no doubt generate interest on account of the fact that's something we're very much focused on at the moment. The not actual location where the sky appears to meet the ground is something you can raise in altitude and look at, which would be excellent.
To the point where Nathan had to actually go on camera and pull out a ball to show them what their physical edge is supposed to be that they are currently denying all over the place.
Well, it's
Which is
funny,
funny.
like that's what made me bring it up, because it had been playing on my head for like literally a month, and I hadn't been on the show. And then like I went on today and I saw you did that. I was like, I was literally just thinking about that. You stole the thought out of my head.
Mine what, mate? You've got a cracking aptitude for this. So I'd stop worrying about other people's opinions on what you're doing. Go out there with your drone, take it to the dizzy heights of 1 foot and smash that ball to pieces, man.
I'll fly it insanely high to 1 foot.
That's all you need.
That's good.
No, I mean, he's not even kidding.
No, I know that.
That's all
It's
you need,
just
because
funny.
right now we're hearing things like infinite refraction. The horizon's not even there. We're in a matrix. I mean, this is the
I've missed a
scrambling
lot.
that these peeps
Like,
are doing right now, trying to
I've been
come up
hearing
with an
that it's-
answer for this.
Yeah, I've been away for a while, and I'm like kind of just catching up on what I've missed, and yeah, there's been some crazy things said. Yeah.
You've seen the phraseology on the picture. So instead of saying observer height 1 foot, which is what the picture was, as shown in the video, he's put observer height equals 5 foot, open brackets, actual 1 foot, close brackets.
Yeah, I actually had a baller on my channel criticising me for being dishonest because I didn't state that Google's elevations can be up to 50 feet or 50 meters out, and I'm like, what the fuck's that got to do with being 1 foot, less than 1 foot off the water surface? It's not being dishonest to leave that out. We only learned that when we did the Isle of Man stuff, but when you like want a measurable and observable 1 foot off the water, you don't need to say that we need to compensate by 50 feet because Google can be inaccurate by 50 feet, because real world, it's only a foot, and that's being generous. And like, he actually called me dishonest because I didn't disclaim it.
Who's referencing
Tony,
Google to begin with?
I owe you an apology, man. I'm going to have to head off, but I owe you an apology, Tony. You know your intro that I made you?
Yeah.
I didn't realize, but I gave you the same bloody sound that's on Ranty's intro. I'm pretty sure, didn't I? Is it
I
the
think
same?
so.
Yeah, if you want, man, like I'll redo it. I'll put some different sound on there if you like. Because I only realized when you went on his show and you both played your intros. I'm like, oh shit.
Don't worry about it.
Like,
Yeah,
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
I don't go live very often, so there's no real rush for it. But as and when, mate, no rush.
Okay. I just wanted to apologize about that. I didn't mean it. Anyway, guys, take it easy.
Later. So who was referencing?
If I have a question, if we switch gears for just a second.
I just want to get this one point in. So who's referencing Google anyway? We could get the height off the water from the video.
It was a complete non-sec. It was like, why the fuck are you calling me dishonest when we don't even need Google in this observation? Like, you don't get lower than low, and that's what we were at. Why are you criticising me for being dishonest, you fucking knob?
Because they need to go to a model straight away to validate what they see with their own eyes. Oh, he's a foot off the water, evidently in the video. There's the water. There's him putting the camera next to it. Oh, right. But Google says it could be up 50 feet. No, he's not. Look, it's there at a foot in the video. What are you talking about? Oh, right. Model says. Okay, yeah, piss off.
Unbelievable. Anyway, carry on.
Sorry, mate. Go ahead. Switch gears.
Yeah, I just had an idea. I had an idea last night. Seeing how Hollywood has this is their award season and Oscars are coming up. I was wondering if Globe Propaganda of the Year. I would nominate Ad Astra for multiple reasons. I don't know if you guys want writing on Ranty's Triggered of the Year. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of really good propaganda out there.
Really good propaganda, as in, what do you mean by good? Bad?
Effective. Bad/effective. Yes.
Effective propaganda. Okay.
Well, you know what I mean? Like whatever globe, the things that keep heliocentrism alive. on a daily basis. They nominated the Apollo 11 documentary from CNN as an Academy Award winner, or nominated.
Sorry, did you say a space mission got nominated for a film award?
Yeah, best documentary.
Best documentary? But it's still getting,
Yeah,
it's still going through
Films.
the...
CNN Films came out with a Apollo 11
Radio check.
documentary.
Hey, QE.
5 by 5.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just laughing
So I
in
was
our
just thinking-
faces. It's laughing in our faces. It's saying, yeah, we'll give it a film award.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I just was thinking Ad Astra. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but not only does it keep space alive, it keeps the moon rovers alive. At the end, they have a nuclear explosion that he says, I'm going to ride the explosion back to Earth from the nuke that goes off, and he's going to ride that energy all the way back. It's laughable.
Bro, you didn't think the lunar module car chase scene on the moon was cool? Come on, man.
No, it was totally cool. No, it was awesome. But again, completely keeping the whole, lie alive.
Oh, even better when Brad Pitt's riding the rings of Saturn with the side of an aircraft or a spaceship. He's just riding on the ice crystals on the rings of Saturn.
But exactly. No, it's just that I would say that movie, it keeps it alive on multiple different levels, on top of which it's supposed to be taken as a very serious, like a 2001 A Space Odyssey. It's a very serious space movie, not to be taken lightly. So it's really effective.
Cool.
No, I just didn't know if it might be a fun idea to have like a equivalent to the Oscars, but best Globe propaganda awards. I don't know. I just had that idea last night.
There's another one that's good with the propaganda called Lucy in the Sky. That one's pretty good. Because it's literally
I saw the trailer
about-
for it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's about an astronaut going up there and seeing Earth from space, and being that it's so magical and beautiful, like she kind of loses her mind a little bit. So that's like the whole basis of the movie. Seeing
It's
the
a
shape
female
of the Earth.
astronaut, so it's a female astronaut, so it's definitely breaking boundaries and very historical.
Yeah, it's with Natalie Portman. It's pretty funny.
Natalie Portman, star of Star Wars.
Yep.
I see.
Oh, yeah, that goes with it. No, but that Star Wars is at least fantasy and not necessarily meant to be taken seriously.
No,
not
it's
seriously, but like
conditioning.
Ad
It's
Astra's like, no,
conditioning.
this is just the future.
Yeah, it's programming.
No, thank you. They came
Yeah,
out
no,
with
of course,
first.
but at least Star Wars is like, no one's going to sit there and argue the logistics of how things would.
It's
I
all a
know,
second law
Q, I'm just
thermodynamics
saying,
violation. Can we move on?
Of course, no, but that's my point. Is that it's just best globe propaganda.
Yeah. What's on the docket
I
for
mean,
today?
whether we believe it or not, it's effective.
What's on the
It's
docket
effective.
for today?
Talking about the Black Swan quite a lot.
Anything against the Black Swan? I kind of rearranged it a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's
Just some racial slurs.
I don't think we're any further progressed in terms of the opposing side even understanding the analogy, and B, them actually understanding the argument that they faced with. In terms of the people that do
I
understand
told
it,
you 9 months.
In 9 months, yeah, we discussed that as well. Your prediction.
I missed that. Sorry.
Me and Tough Man heard yesterday maybe it's a banana or a cube, because the numbers are so off that maybe it's just a banana or a cube.
For the other chap, right? Yes, indeed. The globe propaganda is something that I've discussed on other shows, which was to say that they get you to suspend disbelief with Star Wars. Now, the lasers and the fights with the lightsabers, you understand at a base level that they're pretend, but the overall premise, which is where QE interrupted, is to say that the premise of it being a second law of thermodynamics is also a suspension of disbelief. But then because you're conditioned with that suspension of disbelief, it seems less farcical when they present it in documentary format. So that's the shortened version of discussing the suspension of disbelief and programming, predictive programming, and all those different things. But yeah, just didn't want you to be cut off and then
Right.
Yeah, we hadn't rounded out the
No,
conversation.
I know. The serious drama is like, you're going to argue about can a nuclear explosion travel through space, and you're talking about that as opposed.
Yeah, as opposed to what QE came in with. The whole thing's a second law of thermodynamics violation, but you're not thinking on those levels when you think, oh, well, I know this is make-believe, but you don't think the space bit's make-believe. That's just left in the back of your mind without consideration. When they tell you it's real, you go, well, yeah, of course it is.
Well, yesterday on that show Discord, Chocolate was just referencing, they said, we need a model. I said, well, based on your model, this picture says your model is wrong. He says, okay, so our model is wrong. So we have to change our model. And it was like, what? You just don't get to change your model. And as we talked earlier on the show, everything is based on your R value.
Hold up, Tam. I thought you, and kudos to you, had invented a model changing for a calculator. Well, that was a bit of genius from you, pal. It enables the ballers to move that R value at random based on what they're seeing. Brilliant.
You can't change the R value. I've been saying
You can. He's done it in maths, Nathan. He's done it in maths.
Yeah, I know you can literally change the number in mathematics and still do the calculations, but that number represents the physical geometry that's supposed to be represented in the pictures. Ergo, you can't change the physicality of the sphere they claim we're on. Not only does it mess up all of the celestial observations that have been back-engineered in the first instance, you're then physically saying that the size of the sphere you live on has changed given a different set of weather that different day. Well, that's preposterous on multiple levels. You can't change R. Yeah, you can change it in the maths, but it makes no sense in our reality that the physicality of the ball we're on can actually change size. It can't. It's got to be that size, or it wouldn't match the stars.
Well, would you have to change the radius that you're using depending on whether you're going north or south or east or west, since it's not a ball? Well, it's not a sphere. It's a oblate spheroid. Like, don't you got like two different radiuses?
That's true.
Or
Also,
all different bunch. So which one do you use?
Go on, Adam. You can have the final word.
I was going to say that would complicate Tem's very beautiful formula, and it is beautiful for you ballers if you do want a breathing ball, an ever-changing thing that allows you to move your R so that you don't have to explain it anymore. It does match reality with your variant R. It's R is equal to D squared minus H squared over 2H. Shout out to Tem. Oh, that's brilliant.
Perfect. 10th.
No? Whatever he said, I liked it. I didn't understand it, but fine. Thank you.
It was your point expressed mathematically. But with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both today's Discord and G+ panels for making this after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!